In the dust-choked heart of Wyoming Territory, a young woman stumbled onto a rancher's porch, her dress torn, her lips split, her eyes full of terror. She whispered just one word, "Please." What followed would shake the quiet plains to their core. Because when Marcus Wade, an old rancher haunted by loss, saw what those men had done, something deep inside him snapped. In a town where money ruled and justice bowed, Marcus wasn't about to look away again. This isn't just a story about rage or revenge. It's about what happens when one man dares to protect what's right, no matter the cost. If stories of courage and redemption stir something in you, go ahead, hit that like, subscribe, and share button. It helps more folks find these true-hearted tales of the Old West. Grab your coffee, settle back, and let's ride into one of the most powerful stories ever told on these dusty plains, the wind that night carried dust and silence in equal measure. Out across the Wyoming plains, the stars hung cold and sharp, watching as life played out below. Marcus Wade sat on his porch, boots propped on the railing, nursing the last of his coffee. For a man who'd built his life out of cattle, wood, and solitude, the quiet was his only companion, until he heard it, a sound that didn't belong to the night. A stumbling step, a broken sob. Then, out of the dark, she appeared, a girl no older than 17, her dress torn to ribbons, her hair matted with dirt and blood. She looked like something fragile that the world had chewed up and spit out. For a moment, Marcus thought she might be a ghost, but then her knees gave out and she collapsed against his porch rail. "Please," she whispered, clutching at what was left of her dress. They tried to. Her voice cracked. The rest was swallowed by the wind. Marcus was on his feet before he knew it. He caught her just before she fell, his callous hand steadying her trembling shoulders. In all his years on this rough land, he'd seen plenty of broken things, horses, fences, even men. But something about this girl's shattered dignity hit him harder than a gunshot. "Easy now," he murmured, his voice graveled deep and gentle. "You're safe here." When she looked up, he saw eyes too old for her young face, eyes that had seen cruelty and still refused to break. "They said no one would help me," she whispered. "Said I was nothing." Marcus felt something twist inside him. He'd spent years keeping people at arm's length. After his sister Sarah's death 2 decades ago, he'd built walls higher than any fence on his land. But looking at this girl, all those walls cracked. "What's your name?" he asked. Emma Hartley." That name hit like a hammer. He knew it. The Hartley store in town, run by a good man who died of fever just weeks back. Which meant this girl was alone now, easy prey in a town that fed on weakness. Who did this? His voice hardened. She hesitated, then whispered, "The banker's sons. All 3. Marcus's jaw clenched. The Bankcroft boys, spoiled, rich, and mean. Men who thought they could take anything they wanted. And tonight, they decided that meant Emma Hartley. He led her inside, sat her by the fire, and fetched clean water. His hand shook as he dabbed at the cut on her lip, not from fear, but from rage boiling under his skin. "You can't go back to town," he said quietly. "I have nowhere else," she murmured. "The store can wait. You stay here until this gets sorted." She looked at him, desperate yet proud. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Marcus stared into the fire, seeing a face he hadn't seen in 20 years, Sarah's face. "Because I know what happens when good men do nothing," he said. And just like that, the rancher who'd sworn never to care again cared more than he ever had. By sunrise, the world outside looked calm again, the kind of calm that only comes before a storm. Marcus had barely finished his morning chores when he saw dust rising on the horizon, 6 riders cutting through the prairie like wolves on the hunt. He knew that formation. 3 at the front, 3 behind. The Bankcroft boys and their hired guns. He set down his coffee, reached for his rifle, and stepped out onto the porch. Every muscle in his body went still, the way a man freezes before a gunfight he doesn't want, but won't walk away from. Inside, Emma was upstairs, hidden in the loft above his bedroom, just as he'd told her. He'd made her promise not to come out, no matter what she heard. He could still picture her eyes, frightened, but fierce. The riders pulled up 20 feet away. The eldest, Thomas Bancroft, tipped his hat like a snake, pretending to smile. "Morning, Wade," he said. "We're looking for a girl. Heard she might have come this way. Marcus leaned on his porch rail, rifle resting casually in his arms. Haven't seen hide nor hair of any girl. What she done? She stole from the bank. The middle brother, James, spat money from her dead daddy's accounts. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Strange. Her daddy's been dead a month. Hard to steal from a man who's gone cold in the ground. The youngest Bankcroft shifted in his saddle, his face going red. Behind him, Sheriff Coleman sat stone-faced, his badge catching the sunlight like a cruel joke. Look, Wade, the sheriff said, we just need to ask her some questions. No harm in that. Marcus's voice stayed calm, but his grip on the rifle tightened. You got a warrant, Sheriff. Don't need one, Coleman replied. Funny, Marcus said softly. The way I understand it, a man's home is his castle. And uninvited guests, he let the rifle tilt just slightly, ain't welcome. The tension snapped like dry wood. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Thomas Bancroft exhaled through his nose and forced a grin. We'll be going, then, but if you're hiding her, Wade, that makes you part of this. Marcus's smile was cold as steel. I understand plenty, boy. Question is, do you? The riders turned and left, the sound of hooves fading into the open plains. When Marcus walked back inside, he found Emma sitting on the edge of his bed, silent tears streaming down her face. She'd heard it all, the lies, the threats, the cruelty. They called me a thief, she whispered. My father was the most honest man in the territory. Marcus knelt beside her, his voice low. That's exactly why they want to break you, Emma, because good scares evil. She looked up at him, fire returning to her eyes. Then we fight. And in that moment, Marcus Wade knew the battle had begun. Not just for Emma Hartley's name, but for the soul of the town itself sometimes. The Wild West wasn't just about gunfights or outlaws. It was about choices, the kind that defined who you were when no one was watching. Marcus Wade didn't choose violence that day. He chose courage. He chose to stand between innocence and evil, knowing full well it might cost him everything. If stories like this remind you that honor still matters, even in the harshest times, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps keep these powerful Western stories alive for more hearts to hear. Because somewhere out there, someone still needs reminding that there are good men in the world, and some of them still ride, faced with cowboy hat,